Okay, well, let's get a sort of private business perspective now. Please welcome to the stage Douglas Gilmour from TomTom Maps.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity to present a slightly different view of data in the transport sector, transport and traffic sector. And I say different because, as opposed to the gentlemen who've spoken so far, largely representing the public sector and the providers, the infrastructure providers, those responsible for our national infrastructure. In some ways, TomTom is an example of someone who collects data and represents the user of that infrastructure, the road user, the driver, those in the cars. We're very close in TomTom to the automakers. So I'm not going to repeat anything that we've heard in numerous other sessions within this exhibition and conference in the last 2 days. Big data, open data, smart cities, dynamic data, static data. We all know that data is big. We all know that data presents lots of fantastic opportunities for the transport sector. And it also presents some massive challenges in terms of how we utilize or exploit that data. We all know that. And I guess the exciting thing about this session, the exciting thing about breaking down some of the barriers, not just between different parts of our infrastructure and those managing it, is also to be able to capture more and more information from the user and understand consumer satisfaction, as it were, in our transport sector. I'd like to go back to touch on a point which I believe Nick and Shane made earlier, which is there are a lot of analogies, a lot of similarities between the public transport sector and that of the road sector, not just with the development of a Highways England company serving its customers, the road user. But there's also, I think, a very clear separation between data use, data ownership, data management, and maintenance, much like road maintenance, road ownership, road network management, and likewise in the public transport sector. So I think we need to be very careful how we think about the whole data ecosystem. I believe Tony or Neil may speak in a moment about a closed loop environment, and I think there are real responsibilities on transport authorities to maintain and secure data. But I think before all of that, we need to recognize that data is an asset to each authority and to each company and supplier into the road maintenance and road management sector. It has to be managed, it has to be secured, it has to be stored, it has to be processed and understood in order to make use of it. I guess to provide some contentious propositions, I'd like to suggest that there is a real battle for control in the data world at the moment. There's a battle for your data as the user, as the driver. There's a battle for your data as a mobile phone user and someone who browses on websites, commercial supplier sites. There's a real battle for control and influence of road users by authorities. And whether that's using data from fixed infrastructure or data from floating car sources like TomTom or data from other publicly available sources, it's a real battle to capture that, to maintain that, to ensure it's suitable and fit for purpose, and then to use that for the benefit of the public. And like any national infrastructure, data is just like any other part of infrastructure in that the public interest is at stake here. Not just safety, but the public interest in terms of how we use data to serve those road users and public transport users. So my proposition would be that he who has and uses and exploits the data most effectively and efficiently in this sector, like any other sector, wins. And by win, we need to define that in terms of public interest.
Douglas, thank you. We'll talk a bit more about that battle for control. I think everyone says they want people to benefit in the end. Everyone wants the same thing, but it's agreeing how to get there, isn't it?